Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Miranda, and today we are talking about what I read in July and how my July reading month went, which will be fun. It was an okay month. There was definitely a couple days where I just didn't touch books, but I was kind of busy. If you didn't know, I was a little busy. So let's go ahead and get right into it. But before we start talking about the books, I am actually drinking coffee again today. My cute little Starbucks Texas mug. It's the same coffee I think I had last video, which is the Nespresso Fortato. It's just perfect. I may only drink this for the rest of my life, and I think I'd be okay with that. It's like the perfect amount of coffee. It really only goes up to like here on the mug, but it's the perfect amount of coffee. It's the right kind of like depth and darkness that makes my coffee creamer really shine. So it's great and perfect, and I love it, and I'm so happy that I bought more. And of course, as always, we're gonna say hi to Marvin. So hi Marvin, did you read anything fun in July? Very cool, Marvin. Maybe I shouldn't have asked. Oof, sorry. So, before we get into what exactly I read, I just wanted to go over some stats real quick. I'll put up the pictures of the stats over here as well, but we're going to start off with, these are all from my Storygraph, so check that link down below. I read 8 books in July, which as of today, as of right now, at July 31st at 5:49 p.m., I've read 2,792 pages. I mostly read adventurous books with 5, and then my next highest mood was mysterious with 4. So for genre, the highest I read was young adult with 4, and then same thing with fantasy with 4. Of course, we're going on my fantasy trend, but I do have thriller and contemporary up there with 2 each. So I am slowly adding it, trickling it in. So I do not just read just fantasies, but what can you do? I like fantasies. Sorry, not sorry. I read 2 print books and 6 digital books. Although I do have 3 physical books that I'm going to use today, because I do have the physical book of one of them. I just read it on my Kindle instead of reading the physical book, but then I went back and tabbed it. You'll see. I'll show you. My average star rating was a 3.94. I had a really good month, especially at the end was a lot of 4s. So many 4s, in fact, that I was a little concerned about continuously giving out 4s, but you know what? I just had a good month, and I'm easy to please. So yeah, my star rating is going to be high. So for July, it is at a 3.94. And then I'm going to go ahead over here, show the pages tracker I read. You can see between the 6th and the 12th, I didn't read anything. I was just ending my vacation, actually, at that time, and getting adjusted to having a new body in my apartment. So I didn't read so much. I was also busy just doing things, so not so much reading. Then the 13th, 14th, and 15th, I was at the beach. You get a lot of reading done when you go to the beach because you just sit around on the beach all day. Had a bit of a lull. Another spike on the 18th. I guess that was just a slow day at work, so I read a lot. I guess it could also be a weekend. I doubt it was a weekend. It was probably a work day. And then, yeah, pretty slow. Not a whole lot of reading done this month, and the reading I did do tended to be in spikes. So back to the star rating real quick. We'll go ahead and talk about my total average star rating for the year. And that is at a 3.6. So yes, I tend to rate books higher. Sorry, not sorry. I just like reading, and I'm easily pleased, and so I like to give good reviews on books. And I am currently at 50 books read for the year, so yay! I'm a little worried for the rest of the year. My goal as of right now is 75. If you didn't know, my goals changed quite a lot during the year. At first it was I wanted to read 18 books for the year, smash that out of the park. And then I wanted to read 48, hit that, and now it's 75. And depending on how August, September, October, November, December goes, it might move up to 100. Although that's a stretch goal. That's like, I really don't think I'll hit 100. But that's the next. If I think I'm going to get close to 75, I'll shoot it up one last time to 100. And we'll see. Alright, so the first book that I read was How the King of Elfhame Learned to Hate Stories by Holly Black. This is a short novella that follows Cardan after the events of Queen of Nothing and his reminiscing of his childhood. It just gives us a little glimpse into Cardan's thoughts and feelings, especially towards Jude and his family, more specifically his mother. He talks about his mother quite a lot in this. This book is actually really pretty art-wise. Oh, I've saved this page. Sorry, I just opened this. I have my Warwick Castle postcards. I thought I lost those. But here they are. I found them. I will have to let somebody know. But we have the art pages, which are beautiful in this book, and one of the main reasons you should get this book, if not just for reading about Jordan, but for this art page in particular. I can't believe I'll be gone. So this book is a really good book if you do, want to learn more about Jordan, as I just said, and if you're really, really into the Cruel Prince trilogy, and you just need to know what Cardan's doing, what he's thinking, this is really great for that. I really liked the book. It was really nice to hear Cardan's perspective on some things. I still think we should get a whole Cruel Prince book in Cardan's perspective, or, the whole trilogy. I'd love to see what Cardan's thinking all the time. I love him so much. I accidentally read this in between The Wicked King and The Queen of Nothing. Oops, it happens after The Queen of Nothing. Good thing I've read The Queen of Nothing before, so I wasn't, there weren't that many spoilers. But yeah, definitely read this after Queen of Nothing. After. I gave this book a 4.5 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. I think the only reason I didn't give it a full 5 stars was because it's just not enough. It's not enough. I needed more. Holly Black, I need more. So, How the King of Elfhame Learned to Hate Stories. The next book that I read was Your Guide to Not Getting Murdered in a Quaint English Village, by Maureen Johnson. This was a very short book. It was almost like a picture book about what to do if you end up in a quaint English murder village. And when I read this book, I didn't realize that it was about a murder village. I thought it was just about any quaint English village. I thought it was, not going to be so on the nose about the murders, but I guess I just didn't do enough research before reading this book because the synopsis definitely mentions murder village. So, sorry, Maureen Johnson. I definitely gave you a worse rating because of that, and that's my bad, but I'm sticking by what I said. So, it's still an odd book. It's, I don't really know what you would call it. The synopsis mentioned that it was, cozy and quaint for all those, lovers of cozy murder mysteries. And I'm just sure. I guess. I thought it was weird in an almost bad way. It was kind of interesting, but it just mostly concerned me. And I thought it was a bit crazy. What I thought was interesting was at the end of each, segment, there was, a quiz. And you could, if you learned, you would be able to survive the event of the quiz. And if you didn't learn, you would die. I did like that part. I thought that was kind of interesting. It's reinforcing what you learned, But yeah, I thought it was okay. Just interesting, odd. I think it's short enough that if you, just want a short, quick, 30-minute cozy, you have, a 30-minute train ride or something, and you just want something short and sweet, I thought it was interesting. But you have to be able to look at it. The pictures kind of what make it a book. I don't know if There is an audiobook, but I guarantee the audiobook is probably not nearly as good as the actual book. So, and I gave this book a 3 stars. Again, I liked it. I just thought it was a bit odd and not quite what I thought it was going to be, but that is my fault. If I'd known it was like about a murder village, I might have given it a 3.5. Not a big change. But yeah, I did just think it was odd. Odd is the best way to describe it. So the next book that I read was The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. This is the book that I read digitally, but I have the physical copy of, and then I went back and tabbed the book after I highlighted everything in the Kindle, and then I went back and tabbed it for the physical copy. This is the 3rd and final book of the Cruel Prince trilogy, if you exclude How the King of Elfin Learned to Hate Stories, because that's not really a book, it's a novella. It's like a little add-on. So yeah, this 3rd final book of the trilogy. It follows Jude as she returns to Elfhame and tries to stop war or manipulate the war, so if it happens, it will end up in her favor and Cardan's favor, but mostly her favor, which is keeping Cardan on the throne. And herself, keeping herself on the throne. She fights Maddox because he wants to take over and put Oak on the throne, and she's starting to realize, oh, I'm queen now. If I give this to Maddox, I lose being queen. So she fights to keep Elfhame kind of as is, royalty-wise. This book really rounds out the whole series. You finally get conclusions on the Jurden arcs. You get more answers about Maddox and Oak and the Court of Shadows. And you get a little Taryn redemption, a little. I still don't really like her, but she's, I guess, better in this book. And you know what? It starts off good. I like Taryn at the beginning of this book. She's a bad bitch, and I love that for her. Jurden really come full circle. They, it's time. They've been kind of teasing it. Now it's time. And then she cuts his head off. She cuts his head off. Guys, she cuts his head off to save the kingdom. She cuts his head off. I highly recommend reading this book. I really liked it. And I'm happy that this trilogy exists. And I really like rereading it because, again, I like tabbing parts. Most of these tabs are all the Jurden moments, I'm going to be honest with you. There's a lot less foreshadowing in this book than there was in the first book. The first book had a lot. This one, not so much. But mostly Jurden moments, and I loved it. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. Because Jurden. I think I gave them all 4 stars, except for How the King of Elfin Learned to Hate Stories. That got a 4.5. It deserved it, though. The next book that I read was Happy Place by Emily Henry. This book follows Harriet and Wyn after they break off their engagement and then are forced to hang out with their friends for like a week because they're about to sell their cottage off the coast of Maine during Lobsterfest. So while they're in the cottage, they still have to pretend like they're together and dating because they haven't told any of their friends that they broke off their engagement. And they're not about to tell them now. No, not when it's already somber that they're going to sell the cottage. So they're like, we'll pretend for, the trip. And then at the end of the trip, the last day of the trip, we'll let everybody know. That's their plan. And shenanigans ensue, I guess, is the best way to describe what happens next. It's really a lot about how miscommunication kind of ruins it for everybody. The miscommunication between Wyn and Harriet is understandable, kind of, and then as the book goes on, it just gets frustrating because they should just talk to each other. They both are making assumptions on why the other person's acting the way they're acting, and no offense to Wyn, but Harriet, I think, definitely made some good choices. When it comes to what kind of caused the fallout, I think Harriet was trying to do the right thing, but again, they just assume they know what they're doing, and what they're doing is the right thing, and they don't talk to each other. And then fallouts happen, and then they're now not talking to each other about why the fallout happened, which is just causing more issues, and they just don't talk. That's the problem. And it just gets frustrating. About 70% of the way through the book, you're still like, you still haven't figured this out. You still haven't, I don't know, had a conversation about it for that lasts more than 2 seconds and doesn't end up with one of you doing something stupid. You still aren't going to talk about it. You should really talk about it now. Now's a good time. Let's talk about it. And then they don't. It's just, towards the end, just a little frustrating. I just wish they spoke about it. And I did enjoy this book. I think this was like my first proper plain romance book that I read in like ever or a very long time. I don't know about that though. I don't know what the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo counts at. But I did enjoy this, and it does make me want to read other Emily Henry books. And I thought, they really gripped you till the very end, which was a little frustrating, but I got it. I did end up giving this book a 4 out of 5 stars because I was with it for most of it. I just got a little frustrated, and it could have been maybe like 30 pages shorter, maybe even 50 pages shorter if they just talked, but I get it. That's the whole conflict, is that they're not talking, and so I get it. I get it why it took so long. The next book that I read was Truly Devious, also by Maureen Johnson. Didn't know that I was reading 2 Maureen Johnson books this month until it happened. I knew I was going to read this book, and I knew I was going to read how the Murder Village book that I just talked about, that I, for whatever reason, have blanked on. I just didn't connect that they were the same Maureen Johnsons until like super late, which I might have talked about during my TBR video for July. Anyways, Truly Devious follows Stevie Bell as she tries to solve the cold case of some abductions and one murder at this super prestigious school. The school was founded in the early 20th century, and it was about how to make learning a game. It's just all of these really crazy smart kids, or all these like really crazy super talented kids. It's kind of not quite like this, but you know how in like, if you've ever heard of Danganronpa, how each kid that goes to that school is like super baseball star or super whatever. It's not super, I can't remember the word for it, but like they have their talent. They have one talent, and that's the thing that they're good at, and that's what got them into the school. This school is just like that. So you got Stevie Bell, who's super true crime girly, then you got some YouTuber who's super YouTuber guy, and then you got some super scientist girl. Like they all have like one attribute, and that's what gets them into these schools. And so Stevie Bell, decides to go to this school so she can solve the case of the abductions and the one murder. And in the 20th century, before the wife and daughter of the owner of the school, whose name is Albert Ellingham, gets kidnapped, they find a letter written by Truly Devious in magazine and newspaper cutouts. I don't know if they had magazines in the early 20th century, but if they did, he would use it. But newspaper cutouts to make his letter in super creepy, like serial killer style letters. And yeah, so Stevie goes to school to try and solve it in the 21st century, so we're now in the future. There's phones and stuff. And Truly Devious returns and kills one of the students. And so now Stevie not only has to figure out the cold case, she has to figure out the very new open case. And yeah, I really liked it. The who done did it at the end, I don't think actually did it. I think they were an accomplice. and maybe didn't realize what they were doing, but I don't think that they are the proper killer. So this book, I think, has 2 or 3 other books in this series, so I'm sure we'll get to the heart of it, but I don't believe who they arrested is the actual killer. And yeah, I think Stevie Bell, if I really set my mind to the Criminal Minds era, like girly version of me, like even more than I did, I think I could have ended up being like Stevie Bell. Maybe not as smart, but that kind of like really into true crime. I could have been her. And I thought it was a little slow. I knew that someone was gonna get murdered, because it literally mentions that someone gets away with murder at the back. But it doesn't happen for like a really long time. And I'm like, hello. Murder, please. Anyways, interesting book. I really liked it. And I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read was The Only One Left by Riley Sager. This book follows Kit McDeer, how I say it, after she has an accident with her mother while working at an end-of-life facility. So she gets put on suspension, and then once she returns to her job, she gets assigned to Lenora Hope. Lenora Hope, people assumed, killed her entire family in 1929, but was never found guilty as there was no evidence of that. So it was her mother, her father, and her sister. Her father was shot or stabbed. No, her father was stabbed. Her mother was also stabbed. And then her sister was found hanging by a rope. Lenora has a stroke at some point, and she is rendered mute, and she's paralyzed, and she really only has function of one hand, and she uses that one hand to type on a typewriter that she wants to tell Kit everything leading up to and on the night of the murders. Kit starts to suspect that things with Lenora are not quite what they seem. She doesn't know if Lenora is telling the full truth, and things are just starting to not really add up. I really liked this book for a kind of mystery book. I thought it was good. For the first 90 to 95%, I was on board with everything. I kind of figured out one of the twists. I got it slightly wrong, but I was on the right track at least. And so I was really proud of myself for that. And then they threw this one other twist in, just a real curveball that I just don't really think fit or made a lot of sense or was that big of a deal, I guess. I mean, I guess it fits. But I thought this last curveball was just a bit too much. I was like, okay, now we are just going crazy. The other ones I got. This one, not so much. I thought it was a little crazy, a little too much. Didn't enjoy that part, but the rest of it was really good. It was just that last twist that I think kept it from getting a higher score, just because I really felt like it just came out of left field. That it was just put in there at the end to be like, oh, another twist. That one felt like had no leading up to it. The other one, the one that I was kind of on track for, obviously kind of led up to it. If I was getting on track, if I kind of knew what was going to happen, there was the foreshadowing behind it. But with this one, I might have to read it again to see if there's foreshadowing for this twist, but it really didn't feel like there was any. So, I don't know. Weird. I kind of liked it. Well, I mostly liked it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. But yeah, just that one twist was not my favorite. The next book that I read was Nona the Ninth by Tamsyn Muir. This is the 3rd book of the Locked Tomb series. On my notes, I put the Locked Tomb trilogy. It's not true. There's 4 of them. And this one follows Nona, who woke up 6 months ago in a body that is not hers. She lives with her family, has a job at the school, loves dogs, and really loves the beach. And she wants to have a birthday party with all her friends and family. Her family consists of Palamedes, Camilla, and Pyrrha, which is an interesting little bunch there. I don't really know how Pyrrha got involved with all of that, but it's an interesting little bunch. Unfortunately for Nona, the whole city is falling apart. There's a monstrous blue sphere lurking on the horizon. Oh my goodness. Blood of Eden soldiers are everywhere, and Nona keeps dreaming of a woman with a skull-painted face. I really liked this book. I preferred this book to Harrow the Ninth. Sorry, Harrow. I think Nona as a character is wonderful. There's something about having an optimistic main character. I think Gideon was pretty optimistic, but you kind of also got her like dark side. Harrow was just depressed, and I think that made her book very difficult to read. But Nona is like a child. Like, she's just so happy about everything, and having that optimistic outlook, I think, just made me really enjoy that book. And because Nona's soul or whatever has really only been alive for about 6 months, she doesn't know a whole lot, so anything she doesn't know has to get to explain to her, which is great because I don't know a whole lot. So when they explain it to her, they're explaining it to me as the reader. So I feel like I knew what was going on during this book mostly. There were some points where I was like, okay, what is happening? But I felt like it did a really good job because you had to, like, she had to have it explained to her. So it means I had to have it explained to me, which was great. I like it when things are just explained to me. And Camilla and Palamedes do a great job of just being like, this is how it is. This is what you need to know. This is what's important. Everything else, don't worry about. And I'm like, great. I can do that. And it was just, yeah, lots of good fun. Nona's optimistic personality really made me miss Magnus from the first book because I thought he was the optimistic personality of the first book, and I miss him so much. Please bring him back. And I also miss Noodle. And I think if you read Nona the Ninth, you will miss Noodle too. And I hope Noodle is okay and alive wherever Noodle ended up. Noodle better be mentioned in Electo the Ninth. Electo the Ninth. Tasman Muir. I'm looking out for you. Bring Noodle back. And I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. The final book that I finished in the month of July was The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. I think that's how you pronounce her name. I don't know. Sorry. So this book is the first book of the Raven Cycle series. It follows Blue Sargent, a non-seer and a family of seers, mostly. I would say it's her book specifically, but there's also other characters, but it's mostly about Blue, in my mind. While she's with her aunt on St. Mark's Eve, she sees her first spirit ever. Her aunt lets her know that the reason she can see him is because she's either his true love or she killed him. Oh, and he's gonna die within the next year. Great. And Blue, freaking out a little bit, her entire life she's been told by multiple seers that if she kisses her true love, he will die. So, let's go, Blue. You're having a good time right now. She finds out that his name is Gainsey, and he goes to an all-boys private school called Aglionby. I called it Albion the whole time I read the book, because I cannot pronounce Aglionby. So, Albion. And she hates everything about the Raven Boys, which is the students of this school, until she meets Gainsey and his crew, which includes Adam, Ronan, and Noah. So there's 5 perspectives, really. That's not true. Sorry. There's 3 perspectives, really. And that is Blue, Gainsey, and Adam. Ronan and Noah, sucks to be you. You don't get any. Oh, and their Latin teacher, which makes sense later. I really liked this book. I thought it was good at keeping my attention. It was moving just fast enough that I was interested in see what was going on next. But it also wasn't too fast or I felt overloaded with information. They Gainsey knows a lot about, he's looking for an old, dead Welsh king, which is really hard to explain in just a couple sentences. So if you want to know what I mean, read the book, because Gainsey does a great job of explaining it, and I do not. But that's his, like, life goal, is to find this guy's, like, body. And he does a really good job of, like, breaking up the information that we need to know to make it into palpable bites. And so we can understand, okay, so this is what we need to know right now. And then in a few chapters, he'll explain something else that becomes important. And it's just not so information overload. It's done very well. And I really did enjoy this book. There's a twist that I did not see coming. Not very good at figuring out twists. That's why I was so surprised with the only one left. I'm not good at twists. So there was a twist that I did not see coming. And I thought once it came out, I was like, that makes sense. It really does. And I can't wait to reread it to see all the foreshadowing leading up to that specific twist, because I think there's definitely lots there. And, you know, I can't wait to kind of dive into that and look more into it. Also, the Raven boys drive wonderful cars. They all have great car choices. And Gainsey drives a bright orange car. And I just want you to know right now that if you ever drive a bright orange car, you're an automatic 10. That is my dream. I want to drive a bright orange car. Gainsey drives a bright orange car. Me and Gainsey, BFFs, buddy, let me tell ya. I think I'd annoy him, but I really want his car. So, Gainsey, give me your car, buddy. Please, you clearly don't need it. Just kidding. He loves his car. He would never give it to me. But anyways, it's a really cool car, and I really like this book, and I am excited to continue reading the series in September, because I have too much to read right now in August, so September it's going to have to be. Yes, and I gave that book a 4 out of 5 as well. So that's almost it. I almost forgot one. I started reading Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Unfortunately, it's going to be a DNF for now. Not because I'm not enjoying the book, but simply because I have run out of time. I cannot finish it today. It's too late. And I have way too much in August. If August comes and I get all my books done really fast and I have time and space, I'll pick it back up. If not, it's going to have to just wait until September, which is unfortunate, but that's just how it's going to have to be. The books I have lined up for August for Aurelium kind of take precedent to Ninth House, because I've already failed the TBR by not finishing it today, so finishing it in August is not going to mean much. But if I have time in August, I'm gonna finish it, or if I have to push it off till September, I will do that as well. But just for right now, didn't finish it, ran out of time, too many 0 days on my pages. It's not possible. So that is unfortunate to Ninth House and Leigh Bardugo. But I will be back. I will be back to that. I promise. You'll see me in the next couple of months, and I'll be like, hey, I told you I came back. And now that is officially it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. Any final remarks, Marvin, about the month of July? Oh, I missed you too, buddy. I missed you too. Alright, again, thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful morning, noon, night, whatever it is, wherever you are. And I hope you are enjoying your summer and your reading. And I love you so much, and bye.